and welcome to another episode of the Monday Morning Coach Show. Actually, doing it Monday night, but I'm your host, Willie Snyder, and I'm joined by Mr. King James Stallcup over there in Big Sky Country, Texas. And we have old Daniel's already up in the house.
He's already going down, ready to do his jobs.
Uh-oh. That's funny. Yeah, so
we lost last week, Daniel. Atlanta came back.
So I need Kamara to score 26 fantasy points for me, and then I'll win my match. But I don't know. He's only scheduled to get about 20, so. Yeah, and that was awesome, dude. Thanks a lot, Daniel. Had a blast, dude, going down there. And like I say, I owe you big time, brother. And yeah, we had a good time over there watching the Broncos crush on the hated Raiders.
Yeah, I saw when you sent the picture. I actually tried to call you back last night when I woke up, and you didn't answer because you called me like 3 times. But man, I'm a kid, and I was in bed. I was freaking out. I mean, my eyes are even still swollen. I mean,
yeah, I was just trying to make sure I got you everything, and then I was watching the Cowboys game, so I pretty much figured you were watching it or sleeping, one of the two. But
yeah, I was just. I'm just telling you, I felt like freaking crap. That just man, still feel a little bit today, but. Had some soup before I got on, a little bit of cornbread. That made me feel a little bit better. So
nice.
All right.
Well, what did you think of the meme this week? It was pretty funny,
yeah. Yeah, I saw it. Well, I just saw it because I woke up at about 2:00 today. I mean, I'm surprised I ain't got bed sores, but I woke up and I was like, oh shit, man. I was like, I really don't want to get this ready for tonight. I was just not feeling it, but I got ready and everything and sat down. And then that's when I saw everything. I thought, okay, let's get this knocked out here real quick.
So, yeah, there you go.
All right, let's cue it up so everybody can see the meme of the week.
That's pretty funny. We'll get to see next week the Eagles with their little tush push play that they always do to just get the extra yard or whatever. But it really hurt me. The Eagles not on a bye this week, and in my fantasy, a lot of my top players were on the Eagles, and so I had to find the bench. But man, Dowdle really pulled through. I was happy. I think he got 18 fantasy points for me. So
yeah, Rico Dowdle, he's pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. So I was glad I had him as a backup, and he ended up winning the game for me. So
well, hell, we didn't have Micah Parsons in that game. We had our left tackle get hurt. We had our defensive, because we're already short at defensive end. The backup got hurt, and they still were putting pressure. I was sitting there watching the game. I was thinking, well, golly, and Dad was in way. He goes, hell, I'm liking watching these younger guys play, and these guys making all this money. They're out there hustling. And I said, I said, it makes me wonder, Pittsburgh is not that good, apparently, because Dallas is decimated with injuries.
Yeah, they were. Actually, Pittsburgh was undefeated, till he got beat, but...
Yeah, now they've lost 2 games, so that should move Dallas up in your top 5 power rankings.
Yeah, you'll see. They actually did drop. I think a lot of my power rankings starting to kind of settle down a little bit. Yep. It was kind of a lot of moving around a lot, and I'm kind of getting caught up to where I'm going to be accurate on each week. So it was a little bit of a hard thing to do to I'm almost trying to predict rather than actual say where they're at. So I think it's settled down. I think Dallas is like at 17 this week, but I guarantee next week they'll probably be like 10.
Yeah, I'll say this: the pro football has nothing on college football. Man, this last week, wow!
Oh, dude, I couldn't believe Bama got beat by Vandy.
They got to say, I would encourage everybody to do this. Okay, anybody watches this podcast, I thoroughly encourage this. Go watch. Go to YouTube and go to SEC Shorts. They do it one every week, and I was telling Dad when it happened. I said, I can't wait. I saw it today, and the Vanderbilt guy, he's got on like his coat and he's got on a crown. He's just doing his dancing and stuff. And right when it started, they were checking on like a South Carolina fan over there, and then they look over and all of a sudden you hear this trembling. He goes, they're in the hospital, and he goes, I think it's an earthquake. He goes, no, this is something much worse. And so Then all of a sudden you hear the rumbling, and then there's a casket there, old wooden casket, and the top pops off, and here comes him out, Vanderbilt. He's coming out, walking down the thing, and then they got all these Vanderbilt people, 4 of them, and they're carrying this pipe like they put a whooping on them, and they're sort of rocking, carrying it, and all of a sudden he goes like that, stop, and then he looks across, and it's Arkansas, and they're both just giving each other strong looks. Then they just give each other a wham, like that, and grip each other, and then the Vanderbilt group's walking off, and he goes, upstage by Vanderbilt with an Alabama. He goes, yeah. It just goes so they were upstage, even though they beat Tennessee. It was freaking hilarious. And I watch that every week. I mean, it is really funny. Then it shows the Texas guy coming in. First they got this girl. She's called Hope. Okay, and she comes in and she goes, it's okay, the Alabama fans. She goes, we hadn't seen you in so long. She goes, we're here for you. Going on, and she stops and she goes, I wonder what the top 10 SC meetings are looking like this week. And then it shows the Texas guy coming in, and he goes, yeah, he's got pizza. He goes, oh, we were off week. We were supposed to bring the pizza. And he turns the corner, and the inside, the boardroom's on fire and everything. And he goes, we're getting tired of carrying conferences.
Oh, man.
I'm like, oh, God. That's why I tell them, I encourage you to go watch that. But, last week I said, hello, darkness, my old friend. That really applies this week. I mean, and I can't wait to tell everybody. I mean, it's just
nice.
We only had one game of the week. We had Texas A&M. We had Texas A&M and Missouri, the only top 10 matchups. Next week's going to be a few more, but there wasn't any big matchups we were thinking about. And I even said that the one I thought might be a good matchup next week, I was really looking forward to, was Tennessee and Arkansas. And I never would have thought Vandy and Alabama. I never would have, and I actually thought the Missouri A&M. I actually thought A&M would win. I didn't think Missouri was that good. They hadn't played anybody, and I was right on that. So, well, let's cue it up and get to the college game day. My eyes are watering. So,
all right. It's time for King James's college breakdown and rankings.
Well, as much as I hate to do this, you're gonna have to put some respect on Texas A&M's team. I don't like A&M, Oklahoma. They're Texas. We don't like them, but put some respect on it. they whooped Missouri's rear end, and the stats are going to show this. And when you get in and you look at this, the first week of or where we are in the playoffs right now, one that sort of surprised me here for the predictor is they've moved Ohio State up 1 percentage point over Texas, which sort of surprised me a little bit. But I can understand it because it looks like Texas's schedule got a little bit harder because they got Kentucky, Arkansas, A&M, and Vanderbilt. Those teams have been playing good. And then they got Oklahoma and Georgia the next 2 weeks. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I was sort of surprised, I can understand why Alabama is still at 70%. And I'll tell you why, because I don't think they have anybody super hard to play because Tennessee, they played Tennessee, but Tennessee sort of showed what we thought they had. And they got a young quarterback, and, Arkansas just shut them down. I mean, and then you look, Oklahoma shut them down too. I listened to this one guy, he calls it the best damn college football show, RJ. And he's a big Oklahoma fan. And he was saying, Oklahoma has this good defense and everything. I'm starting to think their defense isn't that good. And we're going to find out this next week because they're going to play a real offense with Texas. Texas has an offense. So I think it'll be an interesting game. And then, what's going to be interesting, right now they moved up Georgia 3 percentage points, but I wonder when they play in 2 weeks, if Texas takes care of business against Oklahoma, then plays Georgia and beats Georgia, I wonder what that percentage rate becomes in. Because I would actually say they played 2 good teams, but is that going to keep them in the top 12? And looking at this, I'll tell you who I think's got the easiest path to stay there is going to be Ole Miss. Ole Miss schedule's not that tough, and Ole Miss came back this week and kicked rear end. Now, next week, we got 2 good games that we'll definitely be watching. Texas and Oklahoma, of course, that's always really, really good game. Anybody watches football knows the Red River Shootout. That's fire. I mean,
everyone knows it's called the Red River Rumble.
It's a shootout when I was growing up. But the thing is, when those teams play, you can pretty much throw the records out. It's a emotional dogfight game. I've seen where Oklahoma was really high and Texas wasn't even ranked and Texas won, and I've seen it the other way too. So that'll be a really good game. The other really good game that's going to be is going to, and I think you'll find this interesting when you look at this when we get over there. But when you look at the coaches poll and you look at the AP, they've moved Ohio State up to number 2, and they've moved Oregon to number 3. So that means Saturday night at 6:30, we'll have the Ohio State and Oregon game, number 2 and number 3 playing each other. And then the next game, there'll be 3 games I'm going to cover next week. And and they're playing at the exact same time. Is going to be Ole Miss and LSU. So if Ole Miss wins that one, I think their path to get there is all in front of them. If LSU wins, and LSU has a chance to start moving up to where they'd make to get in the top 12. So I think this is interesting. Now, I am going to point one thing out. One team that's moving up quite dramatically right now is Clemson. And Clemson's looking good. I think Miami, I'm just going to say you should have lost last week. You were lucky. I'll just say, just luck. And I think if Miami's playing that way, I have a feeling, isn't going to make the top 12. But then again, if they want to have 2 teams from the ACC in there, then I would think you would be looking at Clemson and Miami. Now, when you get to the SEC, this is going to be interesting to see who is actually going to survive in that, because I would say, golly, I would say you're going to get at least 3 to 4 teams in the SEC and the Big Ten both in there. And all you have to do is look at it. Right now, I think their path is pretty easy right now, and their schedule's not hard as Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's going to be in the top 12. I think if Ole Miss wins this week, they're in the top 12, because I don't think Ole Miss. Well, think about this. This is something that's interesting. Texas is going to play A&M at the end of the year. Now, A&M has moved up. They're at 15 right now. If A&M wins out and goes and plays Texas, because A&M has LSU left, that's their toughest one. If they lose, A&M's lost 2 games. See if Ole Miss, Alabama slip up. Who is going to be in the SEC championship at that point? And one of the guys that I was listening, he goes, "Is it possible that you could have the last game of the year, Texas and A&M, and then them also play the next 2 weeks later in the SEC championship?" That would be something.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it would.
I think these predictors are pretty good, that you can see how much everything is moved around. Now, I'm going to tell you one other team I'm waiting to see how they pan out is going to be Indiana. So, you got 4 teams in the Big Ten that are showing out right now. You've got Indiana, Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State. If Ohio State beats Oregon, I don't think Oregon I can't remember. I think, does Oregon play? Let me look here. I can't remember.
Didn't Penn State, didn't they play
well, that's what I was thinking, if they played Penn State or not. No, they don't. That's what I was thinking. I thought they got
played
Michigan.
The Golden Bears, didn't they? Who did Penn State play? I thought it was the California.
No, California is in the eight, or they're not in the ACC. Yeah, did they move over to the ACC? Yeah, them
I can't remember.
They moved to the ACC. So California, they played Miami last week.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to remember who Penn State played.
Penn State didn't really play anybody this week that I can remember, but let's see who they got this coming week. Let's see here. They got USC this week.
Oh, gotcha. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and they played, let's see what their schedule's looking like. They beat UCLA last week, which was UCLA ain't good. And USC apparently ain't that good. So
yeah,
the only big one they have really left on theirs is Ohio State.
Right.
So that's going to make it interesting who's going to move up and down where. And
I'm really surprised how much Georgia fell. Like, I thought Georgia was going to stay stronger. Like, I didn't expect them to drop as far as they did.
Well, they really haven't. And if you look right here, this is the AP for on the left is week 6, and then you got week 7, and you'll see they both the AP and the coaches post still have them at number 5.
Yeah, they're still top 5. So yeah, I thought they dropped to 7 last week.
Yeah, because last week we had Tennessee at number 4. They dropped to 8, but the one that was interesting, Alabama dropped down below Georgia to number 7.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, that was funny.
But if you look there and you look at the AP, Clemson's moved up to top 10.
Right.
And Miami moved up to number 6. And I think it's interesting because I look at this and I see in the AP they got Notre Dame at 12. I think Notre Dame is slowly going to move up because there's a lot of teams that are going to be playing each other. But the one team that is amazing me right now is Iowa State. Iowa State, I think it'll be interesting because what I want to sort of find out, and I think this will be pretty good, is Iowa State. Let's look here and see. Let me go here. This will be better doing this way. If you look at Iowa State, I want to see who they got left in their schedule.
Because I always have my eye on BYU, and like BYU, man, they could be a top 10 team the way they're playing.
Exactly. And see, this will be interesting because what's going to happen is Iowa State does not play BYU. That's surprising.
Right.
Now, looking at this, the only team they have on there that'll be interesting is they got Utah next to the last game of the year, and they have Kansas State. Okay,
Right.
So looking at this, let's see who. BYU.
Like K-State has a really strong team, but I just don't know that they just have that depth to get them through. And they kind of showed that, against BYU.
Yeah, the only one they really have that is considered a strong team, which hadn't looked great, is Utah. So I think that's going to be interesting. But there's one other team we need to put some respect on their name, and that's
the number one,
25, SMU.
SMU. I thought you were going to say number one, Texas, again.
Well, no, they already have that respect. They don't need it anymore. But SMU, give it up to them. They played Louisville, which was number 22, and they beat them. And the only team they lost by 3 points to, was BYU. That's it. So, looking at the remainder of their schedule, they got Stanford, Duke, and then Pitt has moved up to number 22. Pittsburgh's there. So, then they got Boston College, Virginia, and California. Now, my question is going to be that if you look, SMU moved to where? The ACC. So, if I look at this, and I, that's why I go through these. I like to just sort of see who is playing who, and who has which schedule left. Well,
Michigan better look out with that SMU coming up.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is interesting because if you look at Clemson, they don't play Miami. I don't think. Let me look here. I might have missed it. I don't think they do. Nope, no Miami. Okay, so let's look and see who Miami has left.
So Clemson, like where is Clemson located? Is that there? I thought they were more south, like more like South Carolina or something.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I thought Clemson is located. South Carolina, isn't it?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think they're South Carolina. Matter of fact, I think it's called Clemson, South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But this is what I'm wanting to know here. So, if SMU wins out, and first of all, let me make sure. I just want to check and see. Is SMU in the ACC now? I think they are.
James Madison out of the SBC conference. Huh? Maybe he meant to say.
Maybe
maybe meant to say SEC.
They joined with. See, that's something you got to keep up with all this because this conference changes and everything. But they joined Cal Berkeley and Stanford in July 1st, 2024. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so now my question is this. Who is going to be playing the ACC championship if SMU wins out and Clemson and Miami went out?
Right.
That'll be interesting because you'll have one-loss teams. So
yeah,
I could see SMU has the potential to make it to the playoffs, in my opinion now.
Yeah, I agree. If they only have one loss, yeah.
Because I looked there, they played Pittsburgh. If they beat Pittsburgh, they jump them. If they keep winning, they're going to jump Illinois, Michigan. Kansas State has some games coming up. They're either going to move up or down. Oklahoma, they lose this week. They're going to drop down, so SMU probably jumps in. And then
who's Oklahoma playing?
Texas.
Oh, that's right. You already got that one in the bag. I was just kidding.
I'll definitely be at that game. But I'm just looking at that, and if you look up there and you're looking at the AP top 25 and you go across there, there's only two teams in the ACC that I'm seeing there. You got Clemson and Miami. I don't see anybody else. So this will eventually work its way down. And if you look here, here's the coaches poll for the top 25, and you can see that it's pretty close, accurate to what the AP poll was. But you're starting to see a lot of movement and stuff here. And you know, one that I found interesting, Oklahoma hadn't moved up at all hardly. It's just a team lost or something. They moved up a spot. They hadn't really moved up at all. So I don't think anybody's buying anything Oklahoma has to sell right now. BYU has really made a jump up. I mean, they're top 15. And that's what I'm saying. If you're going to have some big matchups that are about to take place, and there's going to be some movement up and down on these top 25 in the next, I'd say, we got next 4 or 5 weeks, we should see a lot of movement here.
I'm almost predicting OU to have some like initials like reversed around and stuff after after the rivalry, but it always happens. I think the last time, what was it? No points.
Yeah.
So,
but
there might be some initials getting moved around.
This gives you a comparison between this week, the top 25, and where they were last week and where they are this week. So I think that is important, the way everything has happened, to see just how things have changed. Now, the next one I got here is the game of the week, and this is the Aggies against the Tigers of Missouri. And
wow, they put
I'm just going to say
huh?
this. A&M whipped their rear end. I mean, let's just tell it like it is. And A&M deserved all the kudos and stuff they got this week. When you come in and you look at the stats, it's pretty telling. A&M had 512 yards of total offense, and Missouri, who's supposed to have a high-flying offense, only had 254 total yards.
Wow.
Now, the stat that impressed me the most was Wigman, and I'll move over here so you can see this. But Connor Wigman right here, he come in, he was 18 of 22 for 276 yards. He didn't have no touchdowns or interceptions or anything. Matter of fact, there wasn't a fumble or interception in this whole game. But
wow.
I'll tell you one guy I thought looked fantastic in that game. And he is fast and everything, and that's Terry Bussey. I know Texas tried to recruit him. He had 3 receptions for 76 yards. I mean, he was really, really good, and he just really showed. But the other guy that sort of surprised me was Levon Moss. He had 12 rushes for 138 yards. He averaged 11.5 yards. Of course, he had one of 75, and he had 3 TDs. So A&M, this particular game, they were balanced. And when you look at the sacks, they had 6 sacks and 8 tackles for loss. And, I always harp on this stat. I'm always harping on it. Missouri only had one sack and 5 tackles for loss. So they literally had 5 more sacks and 3 more tackles for loss. That tells me the A&M defense played fantastic. And then,
well, yeah, if you're getting that pressure on that quarterback and they're not able to set up what they're gonna do, then you're gonna really influence that offense too.
Sure.
So all those stats that you're showing all go hand in hand. So that's why it's really cool the way you're breaking it down like that, because it tells a real big picture. If that quarterback's getting hurried and he's getting sacked and they're getting tackles for loss and stuff, they can't establish their running game. It makes them one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm. And I find it interesting because when you get in and you start looking at those particular stats, it really shows the tail of the tape, in my opinion. But
right.
I've watched the game, and there was at no point, just through the first quarter, I was sitting there, and of course my eyes were watering. I was watching the game. Dad was in there, and I said, A&M's going to win this game. I said, Missouri looks freaking pathetic. I said, they're not a top 10. I said, I don't even think they're a top 20 team. I said, to have the kind of offense they were talking, everybody was saying at first of the year. And that's why I say you get these teams, and they bring in these teams that are not that good, and they're putting up 60, 70 points on them. And everybody thinks, oh, man, they're good. And then they play somebody that actually has a pulse. Then they don't do anything. And I think Missouri proved that this week. So,
all right, nice breakdown. I like it. Yeah, like I say, the one thing that I noticed is, a lot of these, you have these teams, some of these teams that are built, they have the depth to go deep. And I'm not saying that A&M's one of those teams, but man, you look at like the BYU out there, like BYU is like, they are scary, man. I mean, they just have so much talent, so much running. Like they could run it on you, they could pass it on you, they can do pretty much anything. And when the quarterback has like a really quick release, like that's like you're not gonna be able to get your blitzing and get pressure on them, and that kind of stuff is just, especially getting the running game going. Like there was a few teams I noticed, college teams I noticed, they really established the run game early. And when you get that and you start getting that downhill running, then the defense starts getting tired, and then you start opening up more holes, and then you can pass it, and it's just it's funny. There was a lot of dominoes falling this week.
I think BYU is probably going to win the Big 12. I don't know why, I just have that feeling.
I would agree. They're scary, man.
Well, they played Kansas State. Well, at the time,
they stomped Kansas State. Like they stomped them. They were like 63 or
no, yeah, 38-9. 38-9.
Oh, 38. Yeah. But I mean, it was just like I didn't remember the exact score. I just remember that meme that we read.
What is that quarterback's name? Isn't it like Retzlaff or something like that? Jake Retzlaff, I think's his name.
Yeah, I think you're right. Something like that. I don't know much of the college players' names really.
I'm interested to see what is going to happen, because I think, looking at it, I think you actually have 2 teams that are probably going to be in the playoffs from the Big 12. I have that feeling, and I think who they're going to have in there, I think you're probably looking at BYU, and I guess you got a possibility of Utah. because
right.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, BYU Utah, they play in about another 4 or 5 weeks or something like that. And whoever wins that game, if they win out, they'll meet in the Big 12 championship.
What conference is CU in? Are they in the Big 12?
Yeah, they're in the Big 12.
Because CU, like, they're not out of it, Like, they're still kind of floating in the picture a little bit,
Well, they have I think they're 2-0 in conference, and they've only lost one game, so I guess that makes them they're 4-1, I think. But
yeah,
they play Kansas State this week, but they also have to play. I think they got Utah. I don't think they play BYU this year. So
that could be a good game of the week too.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. And if Colorado, if they win out, they beat Utah, they'll be playing in the Big 12 championship game. But right. I'll tell you another one you got to think about here also, and that this is interesting. But right now, Texas Tech's 3-0. I think they played 3 conference games. They played Arizona last week. I know they played Arizona State, and who was the other one? Cincinnati. Cincinnati was added to the conference. So, of course, they're barely winning some of these games, and some of them are higher score games. But the only one they have left they got 2 games on that schedule that'll dictate it, and that's going to be Iowa State and Colorado.
Right.
So I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm more interested. I think the Big 12, I think you're going to see Iowa State and BYU fighting it out. I don't think it's going to be Utah. That's my opinion. But
yeah, I would like to see Coach Prime get up in there a little deeper, but we'll see. It just depends because they have been improving. Like it's not like they have went downhill at all. So
they got Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's a freaking stud, man.
Well, he plays on both sides of the ball. Like,
yeah.
How many people do that?
Yeah, not many anymore. Back in my day, that was common, but you don't see that anymore. He specialized in one position.
They had one game where I think he only was out for like 1 snap of the whole game.
Yeah.
Like he played every snap on both sides of the ball, offense and defense.
I'd say he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, must be. Man, it's pretty crazy. But
all right, let's roll your NFL. You got your NFL stuff for this week, so let's get it going.
Let's do it.
Now it's time for Willie's NFL Breakdown, Power Rankings, and Fantasy.
All right, so a lot of the power rankings are kind of starting to settle down a little bit. I think we're going to start getting get a good idea of like where these teams are going to settle at. The Bears look like they're going to probably stay pretty solid right around the 18 spot right there. Vikings, they're winning, they're undefeated. I'm still not sold on Darnold. He didn't really have a really good week against the Jets. The Jets defense actually played pretty well in that game. But like I say, I'm not 100% sold, but they are sitting at the number 3 spot, which that moved them up pretty high. The Packers could stay pretty solid up there. I was actually surprised Packers were up around the 6. They could stay there. They have a relatively easy schedule. Love's getting healthy. They're starting to get some players back. Their receiving core is pretty decent. They're able to put a lot of yards on teams, and they still have a decent defense. I think I am having the Packers defense in one league, and I'm doing pretty good. The Lions, I think the Lions were on a bye possibly. this last week, but I think they're going to be back. So that could have been possibly why they moved up to the 3 spot because they didn't play. But they could either move up or down next week depending, how they play. The Saints are playing tonight. Hopefully Kamara gets 26 points, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 passing, please, NFL gods. But I'm hoping to win that match if the Saints play well. It's hard to say because what I was looking, the Chiefs' defense doesn't give up too much rushing yards. The Falcons actually could be a legitimate top 10 team. They looked pretty good. They put up a ton of yards, and it was a really good, hard-fought match that they played. I think that was Thursday night game that they played. And then the Panthers kind of got a little bit out of the basement, but like I say, I think they're pretty solid, sitting around the 29. Bucks are actually not too bad. I was actually kicking myself I didn't start Baker Mayfield. I picked Darnold over Mayfield, and Darnold had like 4 or 5 fantasy points, and Mayfield had crushed it. And I think that was the game. It was Bucks-Falcons, wasn't it, Thursday night?
Yeah.
And I think Falcons won that, didn't they? With the touchdown, a walk-off touchdown. And so then the Texans, they look to be staying pretty solid in that AFC South, at the number 4 spot. They putting up a ton of yards, a ton of numbers, and winning games. Colts actually are kind of struggling a little bit. They're at that 24 spot. They lost Richardson. I'm not sure when he's going to return. I actually took him out this week. I started somebody else because he was listed as out. So we'll see how long Richardson's out. They do have some solid receiving core, but I'm not real sold on their backup quarterback. I don't even want to say his name. I guess I could, but he beat the Broncos really bad in the playoffs, so still bad feelings. But anyway, I'm just joking. But then the Titans, still kind of down the basement at 28. Jags down the basement at 27. They're both teams play decent. I think the Titans were on a bye possibly this week. The Cowboys were at 17 last week, moved down to 19. I expect them to probably move up to back to 11 where they were at and settle in pretty good. They won a pretty decent game against Steelers. Pretty strong team. Eagles are going to be coming back. They might have dropped a spot or two because they're in a bye. I expect them to be probably pretty solid number 5. The Commanders are probably going to be moving up. I mean, they looked good. Jaden Daniels, he's really playing strong and putting up yards. And I mean, their defense played strong. I think they're I have them listed as the number 2 defense right now. So they're doing really good there. So defense and offense playing both good on both sides of the ball. And I think they moved up to number 9. Giants are actually crawling out of the basement, playing some decent ball. They're actually, putting some yards on the, getting some yards on the ground, getting some yards in the air, and getting some touchdowns. So they're sitting at a 22 spot where they actually started really down there at 31 or something this season, this year. And then the Ravens look decent. Like I say, I can see the Ravens in there in the playoff picture. They're sitting right there at top 5 spot. Steelers will probably move down. What I expect, and this is what I was telling you before the show, before we started in the green room, that I expect the Steelers and the Cowboys to basically flip. I expect the Steelers to go down to that 19. I expect the Cowboys to take that 11. That's where I expect there. And then the Browns sitting in the basement, just kind of the epitome. They have a lot of injuries. People are putting a lot of yards on them. It's going to be hard for the Browns to get that playoff spot sitting down there that low. Bengals actually played really good. It was tough. That was a tough Bengals loss. But like I say, the Bengals, I can foresee them being in the top 20. I don't foresee them staying at that 25. But like I say, that was a tough loss for them. The Rams should be moving up a little bit. They're sitting at 23. I could see them moving back up to that 19 spot. Seahawks are kind of that little sleeper team. Seahawks are, they got Geno Smith. I'm not really sold 100% on Geno Smith. Like I say, I think that he does have potential to be a really good quarterback, and I could see them winning the playoffs. They're in a really tough division with the Niners and the Cardinals, which is my next two coming up. Niners-Cardinals, that game was really awesome. And
it was.
Like I say, I almost see them switching places on this after that game. I could see the Niners dropping below top 20, and I could see the Cardinals jumping up to top 20. Cardinals look like they really had what it takes to win games, so they look good. Chiefs drop a spot, which it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. I could see if the Chiefs show up and play really good against New Orleans, then I could see them maintaining that number 1 spot next week. The Chargers, actually, Broncos play Chargers next week, so that's going to be pretty interesting. See how that goes. I think the Chargers have a pretty solid offense, and we'll see. Like if our defense can't stop the Chargers, then it's going to be a long day next week. And then the Broncos, that was a really good game I went to against the Raiders, and it was a crazy. I think the crazy part was like right when we sit down, right kickoff, everything. Raiders go down, score a touchdown, and the way that the defender played the ball was kind of awkward, and it was like he had a good, like he could have picked it off, but he somehow like missed it or something, and then the guy just basically had wide open, straight to the house, Mm-hmm. So that, to me, that was kind of a little bit of a fluke, and then after that we had the PS2 pass retain, pick 6, touchdown, and then that tied the score, and then it was all curtains from there. So I could see the Raiders staying where they're at, right at the 26. Broncos moved up a ton. They moved up like 10 spots to that 17 spot. I feel that's going to be pretty accurate, and I see the Broncos pretty much staying right up around that 17 spot. Then we have the Patriots, which dropped into the basement at 32. They're having kind of some struggles, and I don't know what the answer is for the Patriots, And Daniel, they were driving right then. Like we were giving up just big plays, big runs. Like we were giving up like 30-yard runs, 40-yard runs and stuff. So, that pick 6 was epic, perfect time. And then the Dolphins are kind of a sad story. Like I say, they lost, Tua, and hopefully they figure out some quarterback that works for them, and they could start getting some games. But as you remember, the Dolphins are way up at like 8 or 6 to start the year, and they're all the way down at 30 now. I don't see them staying at 30. I can see them climbing out of there. But like I say, I feel a lot of these rankings are getting pretty accurate. Like they're moving around a lot, but they'll stabilize. Like the Bills are sitting at 7 right now. I kind of think the Bills are more like right around the number 5, but we'll see. A lot of these power rankings are going to stabilize out as we go through, and start playing some teams. The Jets were up there. The Jets are ranked really high. They were up there 13 last week. Now they're down to 21. I think they deserve to be down in that 21. I don't think they're a top 20 team, but like I say, that's just kind of a quick run through my power rankings, and I think that these are pretty accurate for right now, but next week I'll have a kind of a better angle on where they were at. I'm keeping track of where they were at last week where they kind of belong, and I'm kind of doing my own shuffle. I know that King James won't invite me to the Stall Cut barbecue anymore because I put the Cowboys at 19. But like I say, it's going to help me out because I think the Steelers belong at 19 and I think the Cowboys belong at 11. So it'll make it easy to just basically reverse them since I thought the Cowboys had a really good win against the Steelers.
I'll tell you what I'm liking, and I think he's going to get them playing better and better, and they're going to start becoming a better team. Is going to be the Broncos. I think Sean Payton's one of the best coaches in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix is a rookie. Everyone has to realize he's a rookie. He made a lot of rookie mistakes, but like I say, there wasn't. I think he did a lot better job protecting the ball. There was a couple that me and Daniel were like, "Oh, that's picked," and then it went right over that guy's head, and he caught it.
Mm-hmm.
I was really it looked like Sutton was starting to get going a little bit better. The one thing I did notice in all of the NFL is these top receivers. It's going to be hard for them to get big numbers. It's going to be hard for them to get passes, because they're getting all these different schemes on them, like double teams and zone reads, and like I say, it really showed in the Minnesota game on Jefferson. And Jefferson, I have Jefferson, and I'm just like, come on, get him the ball, and it was just like they were relentless, like they weren't letting him get open. Like even when he did get open, there were pass interference. I think there was like 3 pass interference in a row on him, and stuff like that, and and that's true too, Daniel, because we were talking about that the defense was pretty much bailing us out, and 10-7 could get us into the playoffs, so we'll see. I mean, the AFC West isn't the super strongest division. You obviously have KC. A lot of the Raiders fans were like, "Oh yeah, let's see how you guys do against KC." There's a lot of salty Raiders fans and stuff. But it was funny, there was a lot of Broncos fans like hugging them and stuff, and like giving them pats on the back and stuff when they were leaving. So we were really good sports about it, we were being really nice, So it was fun, and me and Daniel, we pretty much walked across downtown Denver, and so we got to see him, and they were all pretty sad, but it's one of those things that it's grown over the years, and when you don't win a game in 5 years here in Denver, you get a lot of people that are on the other side of the fence,
Oh,
so
sure.
It was pretty cool, but we didn't get run over by any Raider golf carts or anything like that, so it's pretty good, we came out of it. But let's get into the fantasy part of it.
Get into your game of the week, then the fantasy.
Oh, it's game of the week? Oh, game of the week. All right, let's do it.
What you've already been
talking there we about. Are, game of the week. There we are. We're up. And in the corner, you could probably see my brother's D spot. He has like a little banner he puts up in the corner, D spot. But it's really cool that we went. Thanks a lot, Daniel. It's a good time. And that's Daniel's buddy John, and we're all electricians. We're all licensed electricians up there checking out the game, so it's pretty sweet. I was telling you we're the research team on the game of the week, so we had to go firsthand see what's going on. But the statistics that you'll have to look at really was actually going to be the turnovers. The one thing that is you're not going to see in those stats, and Daniel will probably laugh when he hears this. They had like 3 too many men on the field penalties, and like when you don't execute, or when you just like, dude, I think the Raiders had like so many penalties. Like, I don't know if you have penalties in those stats, but I mean, it was ridiculous. No. Like they had a lot of stupid penalties. But the turnovers will really tell you a tale. Pat Surtain had the pick 6 to kind of start us off scoring. We were up. So the Raiders had a kind of a fluke little throw down the field. They caught it and went all the way to the house to go up 7-0. Broncos kind of struggled on offense to start. Actually settled for a field goal, and then the Raiders went down, scored a field goal, make it 10-7, or actually 10-3, and then Pat Surtain had that pick six, which tied it up 10-10, and then after that, it was just all Broncos. Like I say, our offense was really struggling to get it going. Defense was getting in the backfield, getting a lot of sacks. Does that show sacks on there?
Yeah,
I think we had like six or 7 sacks. I can't remember.
Y'all had 3 sacks and 5 tackles for loss, and they had 3 sacks and 8 tackles for loss.
Okay, yeah, it was pretty even there. Like the tackles we got for loss was like kind of not really that big of a deal because it was only like 1 or 2 yards, Mm-hmm. Like it was kind of like we were really struggling to get our run game going, but once we did, I mean we started gashing them, and I think what we mixed up nicely, which I really liked, was a little bit of that bubble screen and a little bit of that kind of off tackle, a little bit of misdirection. That there was a couple that Mims had end arounds that got some yards, stuff like that. I like to see him mix that up. And like I say, we had a few that were pretty good breakouts. I believe, who was it? So Sutton, I think, only had like a couple catches. Like, I think Sutton might have hit like 50, 60 yards, somewhere in there. And then, who was it? So like, we had a couple running backs. We were splitting the duty, so we had McLaughlin in there, and then we were splitting it up. And like I say, I want to say we had close to 100 yards rushing. But like I say, that was a 109. Yeah, so it was a pretty good combined effort. And if we could do that with like a dual back, then we could really do some stuff. Like I say, I think that we showed that we could put a win together, and we can get our offense going, and we can mix it up. And I think once we started doing that, we could tell that they started getting tired. They were starting to give up big runs. We were starting to gash them for like 6-7 yards, and it was a lot of there was a lot of little chippy runs that we were able to get going. And like I kept saying, once you get old number 33 going down there, then that's what's up. And 33 actually did pretty good for me in fantasy. I think I got like 15 or 16, which is pretty decent. That actually won me the game. And so I played all Broncos, and I didn't do good with Sutton's. I think Sutton only had like 4 fantasy points or something.
Yeah.
So that taught me a lesson, but I think it's gonna improve, and like I say, I think this week, I want to say it's the game of the week, just for the fact that Broncos have not beaten the Raiders since 2019 at Mile High, and a lot of those games we probably didn't deserve to win. I saw a lot of horrible quarterback play back in those years. So it was nice to see a rookie come in and just protect the ball, make smart decisions. I think Sean Payton did a good job trying to get his confidence going, throwing some of those short bubble screens, just completing some of those passes. There's some passes that Bo Nix threw that were, really like he didn't throw them well. Like there was a couple that were not timed correctly and stuff. And we got our Broncos Nation up in here. So yeah, go Broncos! I like it, John. Awesome. But yeah, it was it was kind of one of those things. It was cool to see the Broncos kind of improving on what they're doing and starting to, get some confidence. Bo Nix, that's what he needs. And I think Sean Payton would kind of rather build a rookie than go the route with Russell Wilson. And I could probably see where the headbutting kind of went with Russell Wilson not really wanting to run his scheme and stuff. So, like I say, I think it's going to be a fresh start, and I would like to see us at least go into make a wild card this year, but it's going to be tough. I'm not sure. We'll have to see further down the road. And that's kind of where I went with my power rankings and everything. All this stuff's going to settle out here real quick, and it's the proof's in the pudding. All this stuff's going to settle out, and we're going to really see where the Cowboys are at, because they can luck through in the regular season, but where are they going to do when it comes towards postseason? So, and if everyone knows, just so you know, I give King James a lot of crap about the Cowboys. So, it's like I just like to joke around and give him heck. But it's always fun that we are able to bust on each other's teams. And like I say, I don't think that you would have ever imagined that both our teams would be featured on our show when we decided we were going to do this.
I'll say this. We've got in the NFC, you got Minnesota. They're undefeated. You got the Washington Commanders are 4-1. And then the only other team in there is Detroit Lions. They're 3-1. All the rest that are there, you got Atlanta, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Dallas, and Green Bay, and Chicago that are 3-2. So as of right now, the Cowboys are setting in the playoff mix.
Yeah, so, I agree.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
Dude, I'm telling you, it hasn't been their year since 1990s, but, it's all good.
Well, I look at it, we'll see how good they are next week, because who do they play? The Lions.
Oh, geez.
They got the Lions and they got the 49ers. They win those two. We'll see.
Yeah, and the Lions, the Lions are coming off a bye, so they're rested too. So that'd be tough. Dallas is banged up. If Dallas gets some players back, I think they have a chance to do some better stuff.
We'll see.
We'll see. But it was an awesome game. Thanks so much, Daniel. We're moving on to the Chatter League Fantasy Football. There was a lot this week that I didn't really know which way they were going to go. Cameron goes to 2-3. Paul's perfect team sitting at 5-0. Rising Rhino looks like he was at a solid 5-0. Goose Sports was at 5-0. Scott Lundquist, I put a question mark. I think he's probably going to lose that. I think he's going to go 3-2. Not sure. Long Ball Stoners looks like he's going to be at 1-4, and then boom, I got a crushing win this week against who was I against? Who was it? Let's see. Oh, I was against True North Maniacs, and so I went to 4-1. Dino at TSST. I put a question mark. It looked like he could possibly win that, go to 3-2, but I'm not sure. That's why I put a question mark. Jay's Beetlejuice went to 1-4. 42 Sigma. I put a question mark. Looked like 42 Sigma could pull it out, but at the same time, it could just be like right now 42 Sigma's winning, but like I said, it just all depends on Monday night. And then Run CMC on a tear. Looks like Run CMC is going to win. I still put a question mark there. True North Maniacs was in third. Me and True North Maniacs were tied for third. So it looks like True North Maniacs will go to third. I will go to second in our division. And then the Kermit's Mo Stats. Looks like they lost another one against Rising Rhino. And then Ruben's Remarkable Team went to 1-4. Nasiska TSST went to 0-5, and then TJ's Talented Team went to 3-2. So Chatter League's pretty having a good time. We're having fun, and looks like we still got 3 undefeated. Rising Rhino, Goose Sports. So this week, yeah, I'm done with that. So this week, I just went through a little top 3 performers that are always kind of performing. I did this like off the top of my head. This isn't anything that's like calculated by ESPN or anything, but I put my top 3 QBs as Jaden Daniels, Baker Mayfield, and Lamar Jackson. Jaden Daniels crushed it with like 22 fantasy points. Baker Mayfield was pretty solid, 19, and Lamar Jackson was up there. I want to say he was around 19 too. Drake London just smashed it out of the park this week. I think he went like, somebody told me he went 70 something on some leagues, because some leagues give you extra points for like breaking long runs and stuff. But like on our league, he went like 45, which was pretty crushing. And then we have Jamar Chase. He crushed it for me. I think he was in the probably in the 40s. I can't remember exactly, but was up there. And then Justin Jefferson, solid performance in the 20s. Running backs, Derrick Henry, he's been just busting runs left and right for the Ravens, and he's a good. If you could get Henry, get him on there. I don't know if some people think he's not that good, because I've heard people picking him up on free agency, but like I say, if you have a chance to get Henry, I'd get him. Karen Williams, I picked him up on free agency. He's just tore it up for me. He's been doing really good every week. Solid 100-yard performances every week. And then Alvin Kamara, he's got to do it for me tonight. He's been one of my top performers every week. Like you saw, I'm 4-1, and out of 4 of those games, he was my top performer. I think one of them he wasn't. That's when I lost. So then we got tight ends. Obviously, Dallas Goedert was on a bye. Dallas Goedert's just been solid every week. Usually, tight ends are kind of a drought. Like, they don't really pick you up too much points. But Dallas Goedert's pretty solid for around 15. George Kittle, pretty solid around 15. I think he might have actually got 20 this week. I was actually bummed out because I started Cole Kmet, and Cole Kmet's actually pretty decent. I think he picked up like 11 or 12, which is pretty decent, and then Kittle picked up like 20. So I should have started Kittle, but he was questionable injury, and I just didn't want to roll the dice on that. Obviously, on the flex, if you get Blake London in there, that'd be awesome. Karen Williams, Alvin Kamara, those are all good flex options that you could toss in there. Defense this week, I crushed it with the Broncos. I actually had another league where I had the Commanders defense. They crushed it too. And the Vikings defense did really good. And then with the kickers, Jake Moody had a really good, solid performance around 8. Typically, if you get a kicker that does anything over like 8 to 10, that's about where you want him. I heard that Young Ho Koo went 15 this week with that Thursday night game. So that's one of the guys you could pick up. I actually drafted him, and then something happened in like week 1, and he didn't do anything, and so then I just dropped him and took somebody else. But now he's just crushing it. So you have to kind of watch that in fantasy. Then Austin Siebert and Justin Tucker are really good options for week 6. Like I say, I'm not like authenticated through ESPN or anything. I'm just doing what I see in fantasy as like top performers, people that I would bet on and try to get in my lineup, and who's actually been putting down a lot of points. And like I say, those guys right there, if you can get them and you can snag them up, they're gonna win you games. Like I went the whole first 3 weeks, I didn't lose a game. You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff, when you're just looking at whoever you could get on free agency, like I always look like the minute that the game's over tonight, I'm going to be going in there looking on free agency, seeing who's out there, who's on the radar, because there's a lot of injuries that are coming back. A lot of people that are injured. Christian McCaffrey is getting ready to come back. Pacheco, I think, is probably going to be back, if not week 6, but week 7. All these guys that were injured, people are getting them off their radar. Now they're going to start coming back in as free agents, because people kicked them off their roster, try to get better people. And then next thing you know, you got some of these jewels in the rough that you could just go snag up. I've been snagging up whoever I could. I got Tom Brady. No, I'm just kidding. But you never know. You might come back and win a Super Bowl. But no, I'm just joking. But there's like little diamonds in the rough that you could find out, and it's funny because you can draft Tom Brady if you want. He's in there, so they do that. Like, they put that in there. They put those options in there so that you think, like, oh, cool, I'm going to get Tom Brady. But then every week, if you start Tom Brady, you're going to get zeros. And you're going to just lose, But it's one of those things that's kind of a gamble, But
right.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun doing fantasy. And like I say, I have another draft coming up for fantasy hockey for Rising Rhino. So when we started the show, I was doing the draft for Moss World, Moss Sports, and so I got that draft done while we started going live, and then when I get done, then I have to go do another draft for Rising Rhino. So it's a lot of fun playing the. Oh yeah, dude! Look at who Daniel got, man. Dude, you'll probably win the Super Bowl, bro. You never know.
They bring back the players we had on that team.
I know. Yeah, the 90s was a hell of a decade, Daniel. He didn't really get to be reminded of that. But I could foresee Dallas like getting a lot of depth. Like I was really as an honorable mention, just some of the Cowboys that like really stepped up, the backups and stuff. It was really freaking awesome.
And that will lead you right into the final countdown, won't it?
It will.
Right,
so I guess let's do it.
Time for the final countdown of the week.
All right, so this week I give the Dallas Cowboys the win, and Tolbert, he actually freaking played really good. 20 seconds left, and the Cowboys beat the Steelers 2017. Really amazing. So I had Shaquan Barkley from the Eagles, and he was on a bye, so I had to start Tolbert, and I think he was good for like 19 points or something. It was really good. Like it basically, like I might even not even have to put in Shaquan Barkley, because Shaquan Barkley might not even do 19 every week. But it was a good trade out. The one thing that amazed me was I really thought the Steelers had the momentum in this game. They had the terrible towels. They're there in Pittsburgh. I think they were up at one point by a touchdown on Dallas. I think they were up 17-10. And it was just the way that Dallas just kind of crawled back into that game. Kind of got the little running games going. They had a lot of little nice outlet passes to their tight end. I think his name's Ferguson. Was it Ferguson?
Ferguson, yeah.
So
Tight
if you
end.
guys have a chance, if you have a chance to pick up Ferguson in free agency for fantasy, man, get him, because I think he was good for like 20 points too. I don't know if he had a touchdown. That was what got me all those points, was the touchdown by Tobert. But like I say, I got so many points in that game. They did a shuffle pass to Fairmouth, the tight end from the Steelers. They did a little shuffle pass and he scored a touchdown. So I got like a whole bunch of points from Fairmouth, and I got points from Tolbert. But that's kind of the thing why you got to kind of be out there in free agency, like looking for some of these players, because it'll come up. But like I say, the Dallas Cowboys did it on the road in the terrible towel country, with the terrible towels going, and I really thought it showed a lot of character from the Cowboys. They're hurt. They don't have all their starters in, and they were able to pull together a win. And like I say, Dak Prescott didn't really fall apart like he usually does. The thing that's crazy about Dak Prescott is he can like get some first downs with his legs, but he's probably better to get the first down with his arm, Yeah. And usually what happens when he tries to get that first down with his legs, he usually gets hurt.
Yep.
And I think he's realizing that, and I think he's better like staying in the pocket and maybe rolling out, trying to find outlet receivers. And he's got CD Lamb now, so that's another guy who is on fire, is CD Lamb. So if you have a chance to get CD Lamb on free agency, just pick him up. Like, he might have a down week, and that's what's nice about fantasy is anytime these receivers have down weeks, people will just drop them, and then they'll get who they think's the next person, and then you have a chance to go snag them up. And like, dude, I have a guy from Atlanta, I can't remember his name, but he had like 30 points or something, on Thursday night. So I picked him up on free agency. It was like 10 or something. So, now all of a sudden he's going to be ranked up in like the 20s or something. He's going to be one of my starting receivers in my fantasy. And then I could drop somebody that's not performing. I was really impressed. Actually, Ayuk showed up. Actually, Ayuk was good for like 20 points. He hasn't done very great. Hasn't done very good. But, like I say, I noticed like Breece Hall was always in our top fantasy, and Breece Hall dropped. So, a lot of this stuff goes to show you. But the Dallas Cowboys, get my trophy. It's probably the only time you're going to get a trophy for me on the Dallas Cowboys. But at least I could give it to you and be like, all right, here, you got your trophy now.
You know what was interesting about that is Jalen Tolbert, he got hurt the play before, and they took a timeout, and he came back in and then caught the touchdown pass.
Right.
I don't know if people know that, but he actually got hurt, which was interesting. So
yeah, and
all
like
right.
I say,
the famous Willie quiz.
I forgot to send out links, so sorry everyone. I didn't have a chance. Like, did you even send me the link?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my bad. I was like doing a fantasy draft when I got off work, and so I didn't have a chance to send it out. But everyone's welcome to join us on Thursday. I'll send out the links.
Okay, here we go.
You are now entering the zone of the Willie Quiz. Enter at your own risk.
All right, so Daniel was really worried that I was rigging the questions with you. So this week I picked a topic, and oh, dude, see, look, just in time. You're like, oh, dude, see, and so all right, so I made it fair, Daniel. This week the topic is the Ring of Fame, Denver Broncos Ring of Fame. All right, which Denver Broncos player was first inductee into the Ring of Fame? Was it A, John Elway? Was it B, Floyd Little? Was it C, Rich Jackson? Was it D, Frank Taprika? Was it E, Red Miller? Good luck, everyone. So, part of the reason why Daniel has a chance on this is because we were just there. But I don't know. Like King James, his second favorite team is the Broncos, so he might know. So
yeah, I know it ain't John Elway because John Elway was he was late '90s sometime.
Yeah.
I don't know Frank Trapucka. I don't realize.
Dude, honestly, I don't even know who Rich Jackson is. I think that's just something that.
Well, I was actually going with B or C. If I remember right, I'm going because it's like the Ring of Honor that we have at the Cowboys, and y'all did the Ring of Fame. Y'all actually, when was that? About 1980. Let's see, I graduated in '82. So it was like 1985, I guess, somewhere in there. That's
about the time we started copying the Cowboys.
Yeah. If I remember right, y'all had a thing where y'all did it, and y'all inducted like 3 or 4 people, and I remember 2 of them.
Yeah, we actually, when we were at the game, they actually inducted a new Ring of Fame person. Okay. I'm not going to say the name, but it might be in the quiz. You know?
I remember 2 of them, Floyd Little and Rich Jackson. So I guess it depends which one went in first. I don't remember Red Miller or Frank Trapucka. I remember Red Miller. I don't remember Frank Trapucka, though.
Red Miller was our first head coach.
Okay. That's why I didn't recognize him. Okay. So.
Yeah. Daniel's going to go Floyd Little.
I was thinking C, Rich Jackson, but it's B or C is the one I got. I'll go one against him. Let me do a flip.
All right, we got a flip, Daniel. This is not rigged. This is you can't rig a flip.
So I got tails for C, so I'll go Rich Jackson.
Oh, man, King James, man, I can't believe it. Daniel has the correct answer. It was Floyd Little. Mm-hmm. And he was the first one added to the Ring of Fame, and he actually advertises still for a law firm here in Denver to get you to come buy his
I knew
services.
Well, it looks like I'm going to get this one.
No, you're good. I'm going to have to go research what he picked because he might have been the second one. All right. In what year did John Elway get inducted into the Broncos Ring of Fame? Was it A, 1999? Was it B, 2001? Was it C, 2008? Was it D, 2010? Or was it E, 2004? Good luck, everyone. Oh, dude, Daniel's not wasting no time.
Hey.
Daniel's saying after they won the Super Bowl in 1999.
Yeah, that's what I remember. He was inducted in the late 90s. I couldn't remember the exact year, but I knew it was in the late 90s. So I'll go A on that one.
Hey, so you guys are copying each other, and you both are wrong. The answer is E, 2004. John Elway was inducted to the Ring of Fame at the Mile High Stadium there in
God,
Denver,
I thought it was in the late 90s he got inducted in there. Okay.
No, he had to wait a few years.
No worries.
All right. Which of these positions is least represented in the Broncos Ring of Fame? Is it A, wide receiver? Is it B, linebacker? Is it C, offensive lineman? Is it D, quarterback? Or is it E, safety? Good luck, everyone. Oh, Daniel's like on fire tonight. He's going C, offensive lineman. Yeah, dude, that could be. That makes.
I got a question before I answer. Does safety include cornerbacks?
Yes. I put safety, but it should have been defensive backs.
Okay, because I would
because it didn't show it on there, like. You know, like, I put safety, but I should have just put, safety / cornerbacks because...
Okay, that's why I was curious. So I'll go with C also. Because I look back, you know, I remember a lot of really good linebackers played for Denver that probably went in the ring, and of course...
So Randy Gradishar, he just got in the actual Hall of Fame. He's been in the Ring of Fame for years.
Well, if you remember, up till about 2000.
Oh no, it was Carl Mecklenburg. That's who I was thinking of.
Mecklenburg.
Mecklenburg just got in the actual Hall of Fame.
Up to about the early 2000, linebacker was a big position because teams ran the ball mainly. So I'll go with C. I'll go with offensive lineman.
All right, so it looks like you and Daniel are just going to copy each other and try to take the loss. The answer is D, quarterback. We only have 3 quarterbacks represented in the Ring of Fame. It was Peyton Manning, John Elway, and Floyd, or I can't remember who the other one was.
Morton, wasn't it? Craig Morton.
What's that? Morton. Craig Morton.
Yeah.
So there's only 3 quarterbacks, and all the rest have more than 3.
I shouldn't even know that. I'm not even
Champ Bailey, all them.
And I knew that.
All right. So, who is the only owner of the Broncos history to be inducted into the Ring of Fame? Is it A, Edgar Kaiser? Is it B, Pat Bowlen? Is it C, Mike Shanahan? Is it D, Tim Tebow? Or is it E, Greg Penner? Good luck, everyone. All right, I'm gonna have to freaking say, Daniel. I don't know, man. I don't know if King James is trusting you anymore, man. I don't know.
This is interesting because I don't remember his exact name. The guy that he actually started the Ring of Fame, and he was the owner. And I don't think it was Pat Bowlen that started that. And I thought he was in the ring. He was the first owner of the Broncos, but I can't, I'm trying to remember his name. None of them names seem familiar to me.
I think you're onto something, dude. You're showing right now to Daniel that this is not even rigged at all. See?
Well, it's got.
Yeah, why? If he started the Ring of Fame, why would he put himself in the Ring of Fame? It's kind of a trick question.
I think they put him in after the fact, but I can't remember his name. If it was, I'm thinking Edgar Kaiser or Greg Penner. I don't think Pat Bowen got him after the fact. I actually met him, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was actually. We were in Denver, and we went and ate at this Japanese place, real famous there. It's right off the freeway, and he actually come in and was picking up an order, and I kept looking at him, and then I introduced myself to him. I was a Cowboys fan. We sat there and talked for about 30 minutes. So.
Oh yeah, dude. He used to go get his hair cut, and they would shut down the whole barbershop. And they would put him in one chair, and he would just have to move the chair as he went so he could look at all the different Broncos freaking highlights that were on the wall.
That's cool.
Yeah, but I think you're onto something. I think you got something going, because why would he introduce himself to the Hall of Fame, to the Ring of Fame? You know what I mean?
I think it was after the fact. I'm going to go with A. I'm not sure on this, but I think it's A. So.
All right, man. Well, dude, you did a really good job deducing that down, because Daniel is correct. It was actually Pat Bowlen, and none of those names have anything to do with Broncos owner, because Pat Bowlen was, as far as I know, the first and only owner of the Broncos. He might have took it from somebody else, but whoever he took it from didn't get the Ring of Fame. And Greg Penner is the current owner of the Denver Broncos. So.
Okay.
So, I got you, man. I got you. I'm telling you, Daniel. Daniel's up 2-0 now. All right.
Mm.
Which of these players had their Ring of Fame induction posthumously? And I guess, does that mean after he died?
I guess.
Posthumously? I don't know. When I was writing the question, I was just, kind of. I think it means like that they had their Ring of Fame induction and they weren't there. Okay. Was it A, Steve Atwater? Was it B, Darren Williams? Was it C, Tom Nalen? Was it D, Tyrone Braxton? Or was it E, Carl Mecklenburg? Good luck, everyone.
All right.
And the thing that was so funny about that last one too was actually Pat Bowlen was one of the best owners of any team. I don't even care who you talk about. He was the best. Like, he just was so cool. I think he owned like some oil company in Canada or something. Like, and he just decided to buy the Broncos and then come down here and make a winning team.
Looking at this, I'm doing reason of deduction in my mind. And I'm on Darren Williams or Carl Mecklenburg. And
yeah, I don't know what that posthumously meant. I think it means that they couldn't be there for the, because me and Daniel, we witnessed one on Sunday, and the dude was there. He was there for his induction. So
I'll go with
I think that's what it means. Or maybe it means he came and got it later.
Yeah. Could be. I'm not sure. I'll go with B.
All right. Well, looks like Daniel takes the win with 3 correct answers, and King James with his first correct one of the night. Man, dude. Looks like I freaking rigged it the other direction this week. So try to give Daniel a little props.
I thought I had good guesses there too. God dang it.
Daniel was he was out of control. Like, so they have this little thing where you go in there and they let you in this little thing and you just go in this cooler and you just get whatever you want. We're getting a couple beers, you know? And you just get the beers and then you go pay for them and then they charge you whatever you grab, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's like, please crack your tops. Like, you couldn't just take them out of there sealed up. You had to crack the tops, you know? I'm like, what are you going to do? Like, if you don't crack the top, you know? He's like, no, I have to see the cracks topped, you know? The top's cracked, you know? And so I was like telling Daniel, I was like, we should put that on the quiz for King James. Be like, what do you have to do when you leave with your beers? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you'd probably get it, but
I was actually at one of the games at the Texas game. They asked us to do that, so I would have known that.
Yeah, but then it was funny because we actually poured it in our glass, like our souvenir glass, you know. Mm-hmm. And then we're leaving with our souvenir glass, and they're like, sir, please tip your glasses over so we can see they're empty, you know? And it's like, oh, that's impossible. We cracked our beers way up on 5th floor, you know? Like there's impossible. There's no way anything could be in there, you know? Like, we already got checked at the other thing, you know? But
that's funny.
It was a little ridiculous, but it was so awesome. I had a great time with Daniel, and, like, Daniel's a really cool dude, great electrician, really intelligent, sparky, and he actually loves the Myth of the Week. I got a good one coming up tomorrow, so you all need to stay tuned for the Myth of the Week tomorrow. I'm going to have a blast doing it. Dude, we stirred up so much. I tagged you on it. We'll see what we could stir.
I literally hadn't looked at anything. I got this done today. Matter of fact, as soon as we get off, I'm about to go get in the tub and try to get some of this in my chest, you know, broken down.
Go take 10 seconds and go look what I tagged you on. It's hilarious. Big argument with Weed Man and everything. And,
okay.
What's he doing? He's pulling up substantiations from the 1996 code making panel.
Wait a minute. I thought those old code making panels didn't matter.
Yeah. And the whole thing was, Justin Gibbs is like, oh, yeah, you could do this in previous cycles before 2023 because they made the code change, you know? Mm-hmm. And Weedman's like, well, yeah, it was prohibited. And he goes, no, in previous code cycles, it was a luminaire. It's not a paddle fan's not a luminaire. Right. It's an appliance. And so it's really funny. And so I think they added it. I think they changed. That was what the code change was for 2023, was they added paddle fan to appliances and took it out of luminaires. Okay. But then you would have to say paddle fan with the light kit would still be a luminaire, whatever. So
right.
It's a little tricky, but guess what it connects to? A lighting outlet.
Well, I thought it was that lighting outlet. Oh wait.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
The location again. Oh God.
So yeah, it'll be fun. You'll have some good reading, but thanks so much, Daniel. Appreciate you showing up. I really appreciate meeting new Broncos fans. Big shout out to Broncos Country, John. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. And everyone who jumped in, Moss Sports World. Big shout out for Moss Sports World doing my NHL draft tonight. And thanks for worrying about it after I was like, what? You have to be live and you're in the middle of a draft? It's like, yeah, kind of sucked. But it is what it is. I didn't really tell him what time to run it or what day to run it or anything. He just like, oh, it's Monday at 5. And then I was like, okay. I was like, that's going to be tricky because I'm going to be riding home and show starts at 5:45 and I'm going to still be in a draft room. So, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to jumping in, joining Rising Rhino on the Rising Rhino one. And thanks so much, Chatter League Fantasy. I've been having a blast. So much fun. And just keep up the good work, everyone.
Sounds good. We'll see some of y'all Thursday. And
as always, remember, make every day an easy day.
Got it. All right, everybody take care. We'll see y'all Thursday.
Deuces.